Hey everyone, welcome to Chapter Chats. Today we're going to be talking about Psalm 52, 56, and 120. Today we're going to look at this from the perspective of where David was as he's being chased by Saul. And as you look at the passages in 52, 56, and 120, you kind of see where he's coming from as he's being chased after by his enemy, by his adversary. And so you read certain parts and you realize what he's feeling. And so I want to say, first of all, what I do appreciate about the Psalms is that you see David communicating to God and being honest and transparent. And sometimes we're afraid, I think, when we pray to be honest and transparent in our prayer. And though we have this vocabulary and this strategy of praying, and I think that's great, we should have certain prayer patterns. There also has to be some dialogue where we're, or not dialogue, but like his monologue where we're talking to God, and when we're talking to God, we're just being honest, we're just being real, we're just sharing our hurts and our pains and our struggles. But as we do that, I think that as we're having that conversation with God, the reality of who God is comes out. And so that's what you see in Psalms. And as you read 52, 56, 120, you see David sharing his sorrows, his burdens, his fears. And then you see how he remembers how God is with him. And so in Psalm 56, verse 4, he said, "But when I am afraid, I will put my trust in you. I trust in God, so why should I be afraid? What can mortal man do to me?" And I think this is so phenomenal because he was in the heat of a chase. He was being chased and his life was threatened. But when he realized and viewed through the lens of who God was in his life, he asked the question, "But when I'm afraid, I will put my trust in you and trust in God. So why should I be afraid?" He understood that God had his hand upon him. Therefore, he had nothing to fear. And so he could run, he can fight, but if he trusted in God, he had nothing to fear. What can mortal man do to him? At the end of the day, nothing, because whatever happened to him was going to happen because God had permitted it to happen. So he understands that God is his protector. Another thing that I read was in Psalms 56, verse 8, where he goes on and he says, "You keep track of my sorrows. You have collected my tears in your bottle. You have a record each one in your book. You have recorded each one in your book." So here we see that the psalmist is recognizing that God hears him, that he collects the tears in a bottle, and that he has a record of each tear that he cried. Be be confident in the fact that God hears your cries. He knows your sorrows and he collects every tear and he keeps record of each wrong that's happened to you. Know that God hears you even when you think that he's not listening. God hears you and he's keeping track. And then Psalms 120, he said, "I took my troubles to the Lord. I cried out to him and he answered my prayer." And I want to end with this, that in the midst of whatever we're facing, the answer is found in a place called prayer. When we take our troubles to the Lord and we cry out to him, he truly does answer. It might not look like the way we think he should answer, but God answers our prayers. Sometimes we pray for patience, and guess what? Someone comes along to move us to a place where we're impatient. Why? Because God is working patience in us. Sometimes we ask God for courage, and he gives us an opportunity to face fear and to develop courage. We ask the Lord for a lot of things, and sometimes we don't know why he allows certain things to happen, but sometimes it's an answered prayer. And so we need to take our troubles to the Lord, cry out to him, and know that he will answer our prayers. I pray for you today that you would look to the Psalms as David wrote them in the midst of his trial, in the midst of being chased, and he shared his heart with God. And when we read Psalms, that we can read through it and put ourselves in his shoes and realize that he faced troubles, we will face troubles, but at the end of the day, He understood, why should I be afraid? I put my trust in you. I trust in you, God. Why should I be afraid? What can mere mortal man do to me? And the truth is that whatever happens to us is because God has permitted it. So I pray that this has been an encouraging word. Keep in tune with us, and we'll see you tomorrow. God bless you.